Let's start by checking to see if A and B evenly divide C. Notice 2 and 5 go evenly into 10, so we can use the easier method of that cute little XY table. So I've got a 0 for X and a 0 for Y. So if I put in 0 for X, notice that's going to take that term out completely, and I'm going to have 5Y equals 10. If I divide both sides by 5, Y is equal to 2. Then, if I put in 0 for Y, notice that's going to take out that whole term. I'm going to have 2x equals 10. And if I divide both sides by 2, x equals 5. So I now have my 2 points to graph. I've got the point 0, 2 and the point 5, 0. Now I've got to check and see what's my change in y over change in x so that I can make sure I graph some more points. Notice from this point I go down 2 and over 5. So my change in y over change in x is negative 2/5. So now I have my slope. Unfortunately, that slope's not going to let me graph all that many points, but I can at least get one more in there. So when I go to draw my line, I'll do the best I can to make it straight, preferably using a ruler. Unfortunately, that's not really possible on the glass computer screen. Oh no. Let's try that again. There we go. That's the best I can do. I want to label each of those points, the point 0, 2 and the point 5, 0. Then I have a fully graphed line. For the next one, at first, sometimes students freak out a little bit and they're like, oh no, I don't see any coefficients. But remember, this is the same as 1x minus 1y equals 5. And since 5 is divisible by both 1 and 1, we can use the handy little table. So first, I'm going to imagine plugging in 0 for x. That's going to take that x term out and leave me with negative y equals 5. But y is not alone. I can multiply or divide both sides by a negative 1. They both accomplish the same thing. And I get y equals negative 5 when x equals 0. Then I look and I say, okay, I'm supposed to put in 0 for y, and that's going to take that term out completely. So I have x equals 5. And conveniently, that's already solved. So 5 is the value of x when y has a value of 0. So I have a y-intercept of negative 5 and an x-intercept of positive 5. So if I look at that, I'm going up 5 when I go over 5. Well, that's a change in y of 5 over a change in x of the same thing. So my slope is really 1. So I'm actually going up 1 over 1 each time. So I can easily put a bunch more points in here to help me get a nice straight line going across my graph. Putting arrows on the ends and labeling those 2 points, I'm all done. All right, when I look at this next one, I see first a coefficient of 4, and 4 is definitely divisible by 4. And then I remember that that's a coefficient of 1, and everything's divisible by 1, so I can use that same table. If I put in 0 for x, I'm left with negative y equals 4. Multiplying both sides by negative 1, I see y is equal to negative 4. And then I put in 0 for y instead, and I have 4x equals 4. If I divide both sides by 4, x is equal to 1. So I see that I have the point 0, negative 4, and the point 1, 0. Checking out my change in y of 4 over my change in x of 1, I can see that my slope is 4 over 1. So that'll let me put in a couple more points, or actually maybe just one. I don't have that much space on this graph. So I can see my line looks like this. I have the point 0, negative 4, and 1, 0, with arrows on the ends of both parts of my line. Now, in this next one, I have my first sign of trouble. At first glance, I'm like, yay, 9's divisible by 3. But then I look here, and 9 is not evenly divisible by 6. So I'm going to have to use the method where I actually solve for y. So to give myself a little space, I'm going to rewrite the equation over here. I can see that I need to subtract 6x from each side. So 3y equals negative 6x plus 9. Then I need to divide both sides by 3. at least both of these numbers is divisible by 3. So I have negative 2x plus 3. And now I'm going to graph as a typical y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to go up to the point 0, 3, because that's my y-intercept. And my slope tells me to go 2 down, right, from the negative 2, and 1 to the right from that invisible 1 that's underneath there. So I'm going down 2 and right 1 all the way across, and I can reverse that to go up 2 and left 1 as well. So I have plenty of points to draw a nice accurate line. All right, so I'm going to label that point 0, 3, and then I can just label the next point along the line.